High above the clouds, hidden among jagged, sparkling mountains, sits Dragon Peak. In this kingdom, society operates on a single, strict rule. Your worth is measured by the size of your flames. The ability to breathe massive fire is the ultimate proof of strength and belonging. Every young dragon could easily meet this standard, except one. His name was Drako. Whenever he tried to join his peers lighting up the sky, his deepest breaths produced nothing more than a tiny puff of gray smoke. The older dragons were quick to point out the difference. They laughed, questioning if he was even a real dragon at all. Drako learned to smile through the teasing, but internally the constant exclusion weighed heavily on him. The pressure intensified one morning when the Dragon King announced the Great Fire Festival. This was the most important night of the year, featuring a mandatory rite of passage. Every young dragon had to step forward and ignite the giant crystal flame. As the crowd erupted in cheers, Drako quietly slipped away. Knowing he was biologically incapable of fulfilling this expectation, he left the towering peaks behind and sought refuge in the dense, quiet shadows of the Whispering Forest. With the festival looming, the gap between the sky-splitting roars of the others and Draco's silence had never felt wider. He walked alone, his own footsteps the only sound in the deep shadow of the peaks. The Whispering Forest offered a stark contrast to the roaring crowds of the mountain. Here, among the ancient trees, the silence was broken by a tiny, desperate voice. A small bluebird was trapped beneath heavy timber. Without a second thought about his own sorrow, Drako acted. He rushed forward and threw his entire body weight against the massive branch, forcing it aside so the bird could fly free. His journey deeper into the woods presented another challenge: a family of rabbits stranded beside a rushing river. Instead of using his wings to cast intimidating shadows, Drako used them as a sturdy bridge, carefully ferrying each little rabbit to the safety of the far bank. Later, he encountered an aging turtle, struggling against a steep incline. Drako gently lifted the heavy shell onto his back and carried him to the top. The turtle looked back at the small dragon and noted that kindness is the greatest magic of all. In the quiet of the woods, Draco's wings didn't feel small anymore. They felt capable. For the first time, he wasn't looking at the sky, wishing he could burn it. He was looking at the ground, seeing exactly where he could be of use. By the time Drako returned to Dragon Peak, the festival was in full swing. One by one, the young dragons stepped up to the giant crystal, blasting huge, brilliant streams of fire that illuminated the night sky. Then it was finally Draco's turn to try. He took the deepest breath his small lungs could manage and exhaled. Nothing. The silence from the observing crowd was absolute. But the silence was abruptly broken. A deafening crack echoed across the stone platform. The massive pedestal holding the giant crystal flame had suddenly fractured, and the towering crystal began to tip. The strongest dragons in the kingdom froze. They shrank back in terror, realizing immediately that their immense firepower was completely useless. You cannot burn a falling rock to save yourself. All the fire in the world couldn't stop the weight of that stone. The dragons stood with their mouths full of flames, but their hands remained empty. In that moment, their greatest strength was simply irrelevant. While the others panicked, Drako moved. Operating on his protective instincts, he darted directly underneath the plummeting weight and spread his wings. He pushed upward with everything he had. Watching the smallest among them hold the line broke the paralysis of the older dragons. They joined Drako, pooling their massive strength to heave the crystal back upright. The kingdom was secure. As the crystal settled onto its base, it began to react to the selflessness that had just saved it. A deep, warm, golden light radiated outward, entirely enveloping the small dragon. The Dragon King stepped forward, seeing Drako clearly for the first time. He looked at the glowing creature and gave a simple command: "Try again." Drako smiled, drew in a breath, and roared. A magnificent stream of sparkling golden fire erupted from his chest, shooting high into the night sky and detonating into a canopy of brilliant colors. The flames had been there all along. As the Dragon King noted, Draco's Phagos hadn't missing. It was simply waiting for a heart brave enough to call it forward. The dragons who had mocked him lowered their heads in apology. From that evening forward, Drako was recognized across the peaks under a new title, the Golden Heart Dragon. The culture of Dragon Peak evolved that night. They learned that the truest measure of a dragon isn't the heat of their breath, but the quiet, enduring courage to stand where others fall back.